In a daring move, Russia publicly questioned America's stealthy undersea might, a decision potentially bound to backfire. Two of the U.S.'s top nuclear submarines slipped beneath the waves at Trump's command, their silent power a stark answer to Moscow's taunts. With deadlines looming and tempers flaring, every sonar ping and plotted course becomes a message. Russia poked a sleeping giant. As these steel leviathans patrol in silence, one question hangs over the deep. Can Russia afford to test what lurks beneath the ocean floor? What began as a war of words has escalated into a high-stakes showdown on the high seas. A simple exchange of tweets between two world leaders has set nerves jangling in capitals from Washington to Moscow. It all started when President Trump laid down a clear ultimatum. If Russia did not agree to a ceasefire, he would personally step in to make it happen. Not to be outdone, Dmitry Medvedev, Moscow's military leader and former president, took to social media with a blistering reply. He called Trump's message a step towards war and accused him of playing the ultimatum game with Russia. Medvedev warned that if Washington pushed too hard, it would awaken memories of the old Cold War standoff. He reminded the world that Russia still holds a formidable Soviet-era nuclear strike capability, a last resort insurance policy that few really want to test. Among these weapons are the infamous SS-18 Satan missiles, giant rockets that once fueled serious nightmares in the West. Each SS-18 can carry up to 10 powerful MIRV warheads, totaling a throw weight of nearly 8,800 kilograms, and boasts an intercontinental range of more than 16,000 kilometers. To guarantee peak performance, the SS-18 has been regularly tested in both its original silo launch configuration and as the civilian Dnipro launch vehicle for deploying satellites into orbit. These live-fire trials and orbital launches not only demonstrate the missile's immense lift capability, but also serve as critical exercises in maintaining crew proficiency, monitoring guidance system accuracy, and verifying long-term propellant stability. Equipped with advanced inertial navigation and decoy dispensing countermeasures, the SS-18 remains one of the most reliable and daunting components of its strategic arsenal. Continuous readiness drills ensure that, silo or spacebound, the Satan is always primed to perform precisely as intended. There are also road-mobile missiles like the SS-25 Topol, which can hide in forests and appear on the move at a moment's notice, making them hard to track. And beneath the waves, Russia fields Delta and Typhoon-class submarines, massive vessels built to carry dozens of ballistic missiles, each armed with multiple nuclear warheads. These silent giants patrol far from shore, ready to launch if all other lines of defense fail. By pointing to these weapons, Medvedev wasn't just boasting, he was issuing a clear challenge to U.S. naval power. He argued that Russia's arsenal is not a relic, but an active and credible threat. In his view, any attempt by the United States Navy to show force would be met not just with words, but with the knowledge that Russia's nuclear punch is still very real. Faced with these assertions, President Trump did not back down. In a move that surprised few but alarmed many, he ordered 2 U.S. Navy nuclear submarines to be repositioned in the appropriate regions. The timing was no accident. By moving these vessels closer to key hotspots, Washington aimed to send a message of its own, that the U.S. remains ready and able to defend its interests and its allies at a moment's notice. Beneath the waves, America's undersea deterrent rests on 2 distinct but complementary categories of nuclear-powered submarines. The strategic ballistic missile submarines, SSBNs, which carry the nation's most powerful nuclear weapons, and the multi-mission attack submarines, SESNs, which safeguard U.S. forces, hunt enemy vessels, and project conventional, and in some cases, nuclear firepower. Though they share the same atom-powered heart, their missions, armaments, and technical features diverge in key ways. At the pinnacle of America's nuclear triad sit the Ohio-class SSBNs. These 560-foot leviathans lurk silently along patrol routes in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Arctic Oceans, each carrying up to 20 submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs. Every missile, in turn, can be armed with multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, MIRVs, making a single sub capable of striking dozens of targets with high-yield warheads. With a submerged displacement exceeding 18,000 tons, an Ohio-class SSBN can remain submerged for more than 3 months, limited only by food supplies. Its 2 nuclear reactors generate nearly limitless endurance, and cutting-edge anechoic coatings, pump-jet propulsors, and ultra-quiet machinery reduce its acoustic signature to near imperceptible levels. These SSBNs undertake continuous patrols, ensuring that at any given time at least one vessel remains on station, hidden from even the most sophisticated anti-submarine efforts. This constant readiness underwrites the doctrine of undetectable deterrence. An adversary can never be confident it could execute a first strike that wipes out America's retaliatory capability. Ohio-class boats also boast advanced navigation systems that allow precise positioning beneath polar ice, an invaluable trait if they must patrol covertly under the Arctic cap. Complementing the SSBNs are the attack submarines, designed for speed, stealth, and a wide array of missions. The current backbone comprises 2 main classes: the Los Angeles class, which entered service in the late Cold War, and the newer Virginia class, purpose-built for 21st century threats. Roughly 360 to 377 feet long and displacing some 7,800 tons when submerged, these SSNs carry torpedo tubes capable of firing heavyweight Mk-48 torpedoes, Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles, and anti-ship missiles. They conduct anti-submarine warfare, ASW, anti-surface warfare, ASUW, intelligence gathering and special operations support, often surfacing precariously close to hostile shores to insert Navy SEALs or reconnaissance teams. Virginia-class submarines incorporate modular Virginia payload modules, adding extra missile tubes for up to 40 Tomahawks, doubling the strike capacity of their Los Angeles predecessors. Their photonics masts replace traditional periscopes, using high-resolution cameras and infrared sensors to peer above the waves without piercing the pressure hull. Redesigned propulsors and hull forms further minimize noise, while distributed aperture sonar systems give them panoramic undersea awareness. With speeds exceeding 25 knots submerged and the same reactor-powered endurance as their SSBN cousins, they can shadow adversary vessels for months on end, operate in shallow littoral waters, or slip into denied areas under the cover of darkness. Shared core technologies and training. Though SSBNs and SSNs diverge in mission, they share many core technologies. Pressurized water reactors that produce steam for propulsion and electricity, inertial navigation systems precise to mere meters over thousands of miles, and hull designs optimized for stealth. Crew training is rigorous across the board. Officers and enlisted sailors alike must master the complexities of reactor operations, sonar tracking, weapons handling, and emergency procedures, all while living in the claustrophobic confines of a submarine. Each patrol begins with months of shore-based engineering drills, followed by embarkation rehearsals where the crew practices missile handling for SSBNs or torpedo and cruise missile drills for SSNs. Even routine deployments include simulated casualty events, flooding, fire, reactor scrams, to keep skills razor sharp. When 2 submarines were suddenly redeployed under the President's order, it was not simply a matter of giving them new coordinates. Their entire combat-ready posture, including weapons maintenance, crew certifications, and intelligence briefings, had to be recalibrated for a fresh mission area. Just as the SS-18 Satan ICBM undergoes live fire and civilian launch tests to validate its performance, U.S. submarines routinely undergo at-sea demonstrations to certify readiness. For SSBNs, this entails test launches of SLBMs in dry launch mode, where the missile breaks free of the tube under steam pressure without a warhead. Though no live warheads fly, the exercise verifies that missile motors, guidance avionics, and launch systems function flawlessly after months in saltwater. SSNs, meanwhile, execute live fire drills with dummy torpedoes and cruise missiles, coordinated with destroyer screens and maritime patrol aircraft to simulate real-world engagements. These drills are more than technical checks. They reinforce crew confidence. In the unforgiving submarine environment, each valve turn and sonar ping carries life or death weight. A malfunction at depth could be catastrophic, By integrating tests into every patrol, the Navy ensures that whether it's a strategic warning to a rival or a clandestine insertion behind enemy lines, America's silent service can deliver. When President Trump ordered 2 nuclear-powered submarines to shift toward contested waters, he leveraged both categories of undersea power. An SSBN's presence signals a tangible nuclear threat. Hidden under the waves, it could launch a devastating retaliatory strike at any moment. An SSN's deployment, meanwhile, underscores that the U.S. can hunt enemy submarines, strike high-value land targets with tomahawks, and support allied operations, all without external supply lines. Together, they weave an undersea web of deterrence and warfighting capability that few adversaries can penetrate. Asked later by reporters why he ordered the submarine movement, Trump said, "A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people." His words landed like a splash in a still pond. Suddenly, everyone was watching for ripples. The U.S. Navy and the Pentagon, as is their custom, declined to comment on Trump's remarks or on whether subs had actually been shifted. It's extremely rare for the U.S. military to confirm or deny submarine deployments. These underwater vessels live in the shadows, their secret patrols forming the backbone of America's nuclear deterrence. Trump's comments arrive at a tense moment between Washington and Moscow. He has grown visibly impatient with President Putin's refusal to end what is now a multi-year war in Ukraine. Each missed deadline, each stalled negotiation, has added to Trump's frustration and to the sense that he must act. When he spoke of nuclear submarines, he kept his cards close to his chest. Technically, all U.S. Navy attack and ballistic missile submarines are nuclear-powered. They use reactors to stay submerged for months on end. Yet only a subset carry nuclear-tipped missiles. The rest bear conventional weapons or focus on stealthy intelligence missions. Ballistic missile submarines, known as boomers, patrol quietly under polar ice or deep ocean trenches. Each carries up to 24 missiles, each missile packing multiple warheads. They are the ultimate insurance policy. Impossible to find, nearly impossible to sink, and ready to strike if the unthinkable happens. Attack submarines, or hunters, play a different game. They chase enemy ships, collect electronic secrets, lay mines, and sometimes carry special forces teams. Though nuclear-powered, most of these boats carry torpedoes and cruise missiles, tools for conventional war, not global annihilation. By hinting at submarine moves, Trump sent a clear message. The U.S. can't be pushed around. This was more than a gesture. It was a reminder that America's undersea fleet can appear anywhere, at any time. In a showdown of wills, submarines are the ultimate surprise card. Across the ocean in Moscow, officials likely took note. Russia's own submarine force has shrunk since the Soviet days, but it still fields strategic subs with long-range missiles and attack subs for regional missions. Medvedev's warning about Soviet-era strike capabilities of last resort points to this old arsenal. Boats that can carry nuclear payloads when everything else fails. Trump's off-the-cuff remark may have jolted allies too. Friendly navies keep close watch on U.S. movements. A sudden submarine shift can trigger alerts in capitals from London to Tokyo. Everyone wonders, where is the sub? What is it carrying? Why now? For ordinary people, submarines are almost mythical. They evoke images of silent giants lurking beneath waves, unseen but always there. To signal their presence is to tap into a deep, primal sense of power. It's a warning in the language of navies. We know how to strike without a hint of warning. But according to security experts, any public talk by a U.S. president about potential nuclear military moves raises alarm. The United States has long held back from mirroring Russia's loud, nuclear saber rattling because of the terrible risks that come with the world's deadliest weapons. This is irresponsible and inadvisable, says Daryl Kimball, who leads the Arms Control Association. He argues that no leader, much less one calling shots on social media, should ever threaten nuclear war. It comes off as juvenile, he adds, and it puts everyone in danger. Hans Christensen of the Federation of American Scientists points out a key fact. U.S. nuclear submarines are already part of a ready-to-go force. They form one leg of what's called the nuclear triad, alongside bombers in the air and missiles on land. The subs are always there all the time, Christensen says. They don't need to be moved into position. Trump's comments just give Medvedev more to respond to. Here's how it works. The U.S. keeps 14 Ohio-class submarines powered by nuclear reactors. These giants slip beneath the waves and can stay hidden for months. Each Ohio boat can carry up to 24 Trident 2D5 ballistic missiles. Those missiles can deliver multiple thermonuclear warheads as far as 4,600 miles. That's more than enough to reach targets in Russia from oceans around the globe. But you won't see all 14 subs cruising at once. At any given moment, between 8 and 10 of these boomers are on patrol, according to the Nuclear Threat Initiative. They spread out in the North Atlantic, the Arctic, the Pacific, any place where they can guard the sea lanes and keep enemies guessing. Because they run on nuclear power, they don't need to surface for air or refuel, making them nearly impossible to track. Experts warn that talking up submarine moves could backfire. Other countries watch every public word. If they hear of supposed shifts in posture, even if routine, they might feel forced to react. That could spark a dangerous cycle. One side shows muscle, the other side matches it, and suddenly warnings become orders. That's why Kimball and Christensen both urge restraint. They say the best way to keep peace is to quietly maintain deterrence. Never flaunt it. A hidden threat is stronger than a shouted one. When rivals believe you have the power to strike at any moment, they're less likely to test you. But if you talk about it too much, you risk making it real. For a moment, picture the sea at dawn. A lone sub slips under a silent swell. Its hull is polished to a dark sheen. Inside, sailors stand watch around glowing consoles. Each man and woman knows the stakes. They carry missiles that could erase cities. But their mission is not to fight, it's to prevent war. Their silent patrols keep the peace. Behind those quiet watches, officials in Washington debate in hushed rooms. Maps spread across tables, red and blue pins marking possible flashpoints. If the president mentions moving submarines, alarm bells ring in the Pentagon. Admirals check sonar reports, sailors double down on drills, even allies lean in to listen. In the end, experts say it's not the hardware that makes nuclear deterrence work. It's the mystery. No one can be sure where subs are at any one time. That uncertainty keeps would-be aggressors honest. If you reveal too much, you give away the advantage. Now, the battle of words has moved beyond a single clash. On one side stands Dmitry Medvedev, once Russia's president and now a top security official. Since Russia sent tens of thousands of troops into Ukraine in 2022, he has become Moscow's loudest voice against the West. To many in Russia, he looks like a fearless defender, ready to strike back with harsh warnings. To others, especially critics of the Kremlin, he seems reckless, a loose cannon whose fiery talk risks dragging everyone closer to the abyss. Across the ocean in Washington, officials have quietly shrugged off Medvedev's posts as more bark than bite. Just before the latest exchange, U.S. sources told reporters they did not view his words as a serious threat. Still, when President Trump fired back, citing a hard line and setting a deadline, no one could say for sure what sparked his move. Some point to the growing frustration over stalled talks to end the Ukraine war. Others see it as part of a public back and forth, played out on social media for all to see. Not long before, Trump had given Russia 10 days to agree to a ceasefire or face new economic penalties. That drew a firm response from Medvedev, who taunted the idea of being pressured by threats of tariffs. From there, the verbal joust took on a life of its own. Behind the scenes, experts warn that this kind of public posturing can be dangerous. Hans Christensen of a leading security think tank argues that by setting firm deadlines and hinting at nuclear force, a president can trap himself. Once the world expects action, backing down looks weak, and acting could tip the world toward conflict. He calls this a commitment trap that raises the stakes for everyone. Yet not all experts see a major crisis looming. Evelyn Farkas, who once held a senior post at the Pentagon, notes that this is more a show of strength than a real move toward nuclear war. She points out that public signals rarely mark the start of a secret nuclear plan. Most leaders understand that talking up the risk can keep foes guessing, and in theory maintain peace by playing on uncertainty. In this sense, the latest blast of warnings is theater, loud, dramatic, but not the prelude to a real launch. Still, the rapid exchange has sent ripples across diplomatic circles. Allies in Europe have taken notice, mindful that any talk of nuclear forces, even in passing, can alarm citizens and shift public mood. In capitals from London to Tokyo, officials watch closely for signs of change. They know that modern diplomacy often plays out in public view, with tweets and posts standing in for secret cables and backroom meetings. In Moscow, too, there is a split view. Hardliners welcome Medvedev's fierce tone as a sign of strength, proof that Russia will not bow to outside pressure. Moderates worry that loud threats undermine quieter channels of dialogue, making it harder to find common ground when the time comes. At sea, meanwhile, U.S. submarine crews carry on with near-total silence. Submerged deep beneath waves, they know that their real power lies in the unknown. Whether they stay put or shift course, their greatest gift to the world is ambiguity. If an adversary cannot say where they are, it cannot take the risk of striking first. In the end, the latest face-off between Trump and Medvedev is part of a long-running dance of deterrence. Each leader uses words to signal strength, to show resolve. Each hopes the other will blink first. And all the while, the real work of diplomacy, quiet talks, careful planning, and back-channel diplomacy, continues behind closed doors. Moscow has made its own rules for peace in Ukraine and shows no sign of meeting Trump's deadline. Behind the scenes, Russian leaders draw up plans that suit their own goals. They talk about negotiations, but they hold a firm hand on the map of Ukraine. Time and again, they move forward on the battlefield, as if to prove they can win without bowing to outside demands. In public, President Putin speaks of hope for fresh talks, yet he never mentions the 10-day warning from Washington. Instead, he points to gains on the ground and the belief that momentum lies with Russia. His words are calm but carry a clear message. He feels confident, and he won't rush to meet anyone else's timetable. Meanwhile, Trump's tone has shifted sharply. Once he spoke warmly of his dealings with Putin, even praising their bond. Now he sounds fed up. He rails against what he sees as hollow promises and frequent attacks on Ukraine. He warns that patience has its limits and that frustration can turn into action. His change of heart underlines how badly talks have stalled and how anger can reshape alliances. Across Europe and beyond, allies watch closely. They worry that missed deadlines and rising tempers could tip the balance from tense peace to open conflict. Diplomats scramble to find back channels, hoping to give both sides a quiet path out of the standoff. Soldiers on both sides stay on alert, ready for orders that might never come or could come at any moment. In this high-stakes game, time is both friend and foe. Deadlines can force talks, but they can also breed resentment. When leaders refuse to blink, the lines between warning and action grow thin. As August 8th approaches, the world holds its breath, watching to see if firm words will turn into fierce deeds or if cooler heads will prevail once more. Meanwhile, the Navy's undersea arsenal is about to get a major makeover. Starting in the early 2030s, the venerable Ohio-class SSBNs, iconic 560-foot-long deterrent platforms that have patrolled quietly beneath the waves for decades, will begin handing off their silent watch to the new Columbia-class. These next-generation boomers aren't just evolutionary, they're a revolution in stealth, endurance, and firepower. At first glance, the Columbia-class may look familiar, a sleek, teardrop hull optimized to slip through the water with minimal noise. But beneath that unassuming exterior lies a suite of cutting-edge advances. Gone is the traditional mechanical drivetrain. In its place, a revolutionary electric drive reactor system converts nuclear heat into electrical power, which then spins the propulsor. The result? A whisper-quiet vessel whose acoustic signature is so low that even the most sensitive submarine hunting sensors will struggle to pick it up. That stealth boost matters. Fewer detectable sounds mean a lower chance of detection, and higher confidence that these subs can survive in contested waters for months on end. The Columbia-class also introduces improved hydrodynamics and advanced anechoic coatings, specially formulated rubber tiles that absorb incoming sonar pings rather than reflecting them. Coupled with a redesigned pump jet propulsor, this makes the boat one of the stealthiest ever built. Internally, life on board will be more sustainable too. New air and water recycling systems and updated galley equipment mean the crew can spend longer patrols submerged without resupply or surfacing, keeping the boat hidden at all times. Payload is another headline feature. While the Ohio class carried 20 Trident II D5 missiles, each capable of delivering multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, the Columbia class will carry 16 D5 LE missiles, the LE standing for life extension. These next-gen missiles boast improved guidance systems, extended range, and updated navigation packages built to stay accurate decades into the future. Packing the latest warhead arming and fusing tech, they give the United States a credible and flexible second strike capability well past mid-century. On the attack submarine side, America's stealth fleet is getting its own punch-up with the Virginia-class Block 5 boats. These subs already combine the stealth and speed of a modern SSN with a multi-mission focus, but Block V takes it further. By inserting a Virginia payload module amidships, engineers have doubled the boat's Tomahawk cruise missile capacity, adding 4 extra tubes that can carry up to 28 more missiles. That means a single Virginia-class sub can unleash a fleet of long-range land attack strikes or hold surface ships at risk, all without surfacing or revealing its position. Block V, Virginia-class vessels also feature enhanced sonar arrays, distributed aperture systems that provide 360-degree undersea awareness, and photonic masts that swap traditional periscope tubes for fiber optic cameras, so the sub can gather visual intelligence without compromising hull integrity. Advanced command and control suites keep these boats plugged into the wider fleet network, ensuring precise, real-time coordination with surface ships, aircraft, and shore-based command centers. Together, the Columbia-class and Virginia Block 5 represent the future backbone of U.S. undersea power. The boomers guarantee that America's most devastating weapons remain hidden, ready to respond to any nuclear aggression with overwhelming force. The attack boats provide the flexible, conventional punch needed in conflicts short of all-out war. Everything from anti-submarine patrols and special operations insertions to precision strikes ashore. By investing in these platforms, the Navy isn't just buying new submarines, it's reinforcing a strategic truth. Undersea superiority underpins all other forms of military power. When adversaries weigh their options, they must reckon with the silent force lurking beneath the ocean's surface. Boats so stealthy, they may never know where the next missile salvo will come from. In repositioning 2 nuclear-powered submarines to key hotspots, the United States simply reminded the world that its undersea fleet remains ever vigilant, whether it's an Ohio-class on its final patrol, a Columbia-class gliding into service, or a Virginia-class prowling just offshore. Underneath every wave crest, America's silent sentinels stand ready.